Ready for the restart with a new leader. Scott Speed was one of two drivers who did stop at lap 22 and did not come in on this one. The other is our favorite Mr. Contrary for race strategy, Robbie Gordon. He's going to run this race his way. He stopped at lap 22 and did not stop on this caution. The drivers who did begin with Jeff Gordon in third place.
I think that was a great move by Jimmy Elledge, Scott Speed's crew chief. I'm like Darrell. I'm surprised more of those guys that pitted on lap 22 that did not stay out and get this track position. Remember, Scott Speed's one of those cars that fell outside the top 35 after Bristol. He has to qualify on time right now, so these 5 points are critical for him.
And as you can see, when you're in the front, you can just drive off and leave everybody for a while.
Ooh, Robbie Gordon sliced in front of Kurt Busch, who very patiently gave him room. Gordon in the 7. Now Busch in turn 3.
See, that
takes his piece of the racetrack.
That's a tough place right there, because that car on the outside leaves you just enough room to squeeze in there, but you got to be hard on the brakes to keep from getting into him. Sometime you'll get loose, like we saw Michael do earlier, and then get in that car on the outside and spin yourself out.
Meanwhile, Kyle Busch trying to make hay on the outside, but he's battling the franchise. David Rudiman. That's a funny nickname. I mean, in different sports, it means different things, of course. But he's had a little fun with his boss, Michael Waltrip. He says, hey, I'm the franchise. I'm the future of this organization right here.
He's the face of the organization. That's what it's all. I mean, he's been carrying the banner. I'll give him credit for that.
But you know why those guys are battling right there? The car right in front of them, Mark Martin in the 5 car, Alan Gustafson. They had a good car on Friday in practice. Remember, started 31st. That's the strategy that Alan Gustafson needed to get him up to the front. Pitted for tires on lap 22, pitted for fuel only on lap 40.
We listened in on Kyle Busch.
So was David Rudiman.
I don't know what I need. I suck. I can't get off the corner.
Woo. And that was after we cleaned it up.
Well, see those Gibbs cars, I got to find out. There's got to be an answer to why all that black smoke comes out of the tailpipes the way they do.
Well, I'm working on that, and what I have learned so far is they're doing things to their engine and to their carburetor that almost makes the engine act like a Jake brake when he rolls out of the throttle. Really slows the thing down, which is what you need here at Martinsville. That's the reason we see it here and here only, because that's where it's so important with these tight corners at the end of these long straightaways.
Yeah, contrary to what some people thought, it's not brake dust. It's coming out of the tailpipes, and it's black smoke.
But all 3 Gibbs cars do it.
Exactly.
Here's today's Aflac trivia question. Who scored their first Cup win while driving for Hendrick Motorsports?
It's a fairly long list.
Yeah, this is the 25th anniversary of their first win. It's a long list. 8 drivers are on that list. Wow. Hendrick has 175 wins in what is now Sprint Cup racing. 17 of them have come here. Jeff Gordon back to the front.
When I went to pick up throttle.
Scott Speed holding station in second. The other driver on that strategy, Robbie Gordon, has slipped to 14th, but good run for Scott Speed.
It is a good run for him.
Of course, when you're out in clear sailing, you can do that.
And you know, he mentioned Mark Martin. I'm going to be curious to see how he fares here on these tires, because again, the track's green. We got a new tire. You can't really rely on notes from the past. I'd say staying out on tires wouldn't be a bad thing. I'm just not real sure today.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. had trouble on his pit stop. We're not aware of what, but he came out of the pits 3rd from the tail end of the line. Matt, he's up to 34th now, but why was he so far back?
Mike, his biggest complaint, the car was just too tight. A number of adjustments when he was on pit road. Air pressure, track bar, and bungee cord. The biggest issue for Junior, the car kept jumping out of gear, so a crew member, when the stop was completed, climbed through the side window and attached a bungee cord so then Junior could wrap it around the gear shift to keep it in 4th. They made the 2 adjustments to try to free up the car. Junior says the car is better, but it's still slightly sliding the nose.
We've run 6 races, and that would be the 3rd time that this 88 car has had transmission problems. Remember at Bristol last week, they had to go to the back of the field because they changed transmissions race morning, and then he had transmission issues at Auto Club Speedway in Fontana.
And that's so uncharacteristic of Hendrick Motorsports. they build bulletproof equipment over there. I mean, they know when they got a problem. They got diagnostic equipment that will tell them there's something wrong with parts, pieces, x-ray it, magnaflux it. That makes no sense.
Now, one thing I've learned, Mike, and we had talked about this, is the fact that this new car seems to be harder on transmission when the car slams down on those chassis stops getting in the corner. But the only car out of the Hendrick stables we're documenting problems is Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Real quick before we go to Jeff, if you chassis dyno these things, a lot of times you can create transmission problems because they sit on the chassis dyno at an angle. And we had some issues back when with burning up the bearings in the transmission because the grease wasn't getting to the bearings. So, Jeff, what do you got, buddy?
Well, the thing I was going to bring out, Darrell, I don't understand a team not having a bungee cord already inside of a race car when you've been having issues. That used to be standard issue no matter what race car, where we were at. So you put a bungee cord in there, so if it happened, the driver could just reach over, grab the end of the bungee cord, untape it, and he can hook it himself. You didn't have to go in there and install it. It was already part of what I consider race procedure.
Yeah, Jeff, it was always hooked normally to the leg brace on the right side. That way you could just reach up there and throw it around the shifter. And this is a battle for third right here, no longer a battle. Denny Hamlin, we keep talking about him. He's marching his way to the front. He just goes by Jimmy Johnson for that third spot.
All the technology and all the millions of dollars that are spent to make these cars run fast. And you can fix your transmission problem for about, $5.99, if even that.
I like the way this one's looking. More NASCAR on Fox coming up.